Hey everybody, long time no see. Welcome back to another video. My name is Tilly, for those of you who are new here. I have been ill for the last couple of months. So to ease us back in, I thought that I would make a video ranking the severity of my ADHD symptoms. Nice and easy. Ease us into that neurospicy content once again. I've seen this everywhere on TikTok where people are ranking things, but you don't get to choose like what comes first and second, you just do it as it comes up. So I thought that we would do that. I've got a little wheel here that I'll show you, and then I'm just gonna delete a symptom so that we get closer and closer and then see how I rank things or how they interfere with my life in a certain way. So I'm gonna write things down on my phone so that I don't forget the order. I've got my little spinny wheel, which you guys will see. And then I thought this would just be a cool way for us to discuss some of the symptoms and see how ADHD actually affects my life. And I'd love to know if you guys would put this in a different order or if I missed out on other really common symptoms. So here we go, let's spin the wheel. Easily distracted, I think that's a pretty good one to start with. I personally feel like this one's probably the least of my problems, to be honest, considering the other ones that I know are gonna come up. I think I'm gonna put easily distracted at like around an 8. We call them side quests in our house, and I think a really good example of getting easily distracted is if you're gonna go clean the kitchen, but then you see something in the kitchen that needs to be put elsewhere. So then you go and put that somewhere. And then when you're doing that task, you see something else that needs to be done in the bedroom where you were putting the thing away. So then you just bounce around the house until you come back with some other task for the kitchen. And then you're like, fuck, I was supposed to clean the kitchen. So that is our side task. That is getting distracted easily. That does make things harder. It really does. I've heard this saying to deal with it, which is like, don't put things down, put them away. But I'm not gonna like just walk around the house with all my shit in my hands because I'm still going on side quests mentally, and then I'm just physically incapacitated. Does that make sense? To me, that made a lot of sense. Let's go to the next one. Losing things. That is a good one. I'm gonna put that as a 6. I'm putting that a little bit higher up than getting distracted because I am fortunate enough to live with my beautiful partner, Callum, who doesn't lose things. And so I don't have to worry about things getting lost very often. For example, I'll walk out of the house and I know that Callum's got the keys. When I do it by myself, I am hyper aware of the things that I have in my possession, and I think anxiety kind of switches on to make sure that I don't lose things. So when we go to the airport, I will check that my passport is in my bag 20 times. Even then, the last time I went to the airport, the last time we traveled, I still left behind like my ID card. Like I still am leaving things that I need to function, but I've got my anxiety switched on so that it helps me remember some things, but not all of them. And it's just kind of a really upsetting way to live, to be honest. Yeah, there's not like a nicer way of saying that. I fortunately have not lost too many high ticket items. I say that now remembering, I think I've lost like 3 phones in my life. So this reminds me of, there's something called like the ADHD tax, which is essentially because you forget about subscriptions or because you are late to things, things cost more money. Like you end up having to pay for things twice, or you have to pay for things that you forgot about. And so having ADHD can make life more expensive. The last high ticket item that I think I left behind was I left my Kindle at the gym, but thankfully we go to quite like a small gym. It's not a commercial gym. They were nice enough. They kept my Kindle. They protected my books for me. So next one. Overstimulated easily. I'm gonna put it as a 7. I feel like I'm being pretty conservative with where I'm putting things at the moment. This used to be a real problem for me, particularly when I'm not on medication. I notice that I pick up a lot more information. So if I walk down the streets when I'm not on medication, it can feel really overwhelming. I think ADHD is not a deficit of attention, it's just picking up too many things. It's just noticing too many things. Your attention is just, it's unable to weed out like the extraneous details. So walking down the street can feel really overwhelming, and that is definitely a problem that I've had before. But since I've been on medication, I have noticed that I'm able to kind of tune out a lot of the background noise in life or on the streets a bit better. We'll see how we go, but I think I'm happy with it there for now. Next one. Do you guys struggle with being overstimulated super easily? Ooh, a strong one. Rage at being interrupted. I feel that one. I'm gonna put it at a 5. Again, being conservative, but this one I feel like is one of the symptoms that affects people in my life the most because I snap at them, and that's not fair. For example, if Callum and I are writing programs together for like strength and conditioning, for our strength and conditioning clients, I feel like I really get dialed in and I find like a path to do what I want to do. And then if Callum's like asking me questions, or I find it hard to pull myself away from the task at hand, and so then I can snap and stuff, and that's not fair to to Callum. I think part of it is that I struggle with initiating tasks so much. So when I finally get started on something, it's like, oh my God, yes, this is what I've been waiting for. If anyone comes in and interrupts that, and I'm like, and then I have to get to the point where I have to be able to initiate again, and that is really hard. So I think that's where the rage comes from. When I say rage, that sounds super intense, but it feels super intense. So maybe rage is a good word. I don't feel like I'm like swinging things, yelling. I'm probably just a bit mean and snappy, but yeah, that one's not super fun. It is a bit better on medication, but still the initiation for me is like one of the hardest things, like being able to start tasks. How about you guys? Have you noticed this? Next one. No reward system. I'm gonna put this pretty high up. I'm gonna put it as a number 2. I was watching this video the other day, a neurotypical husband speaks to his ADHD autistic wife, and they were talking about when they do a task, the husband, the neurotypical person, feels like a sense of reward. They feel super proud of themselves and they're like, oh, great. And so then they go do another task. I don't have any sense of reward in my brain. If I complete a task, the task is just done. There's nothing internal. There's no yippee feeling when things are done. And so I think that's what makes it really hard to do tasks. And I spoke to Cal about this, and even he was saying, yeah, I feel super proud of myself. Like I get on a roll, I just keep doing things. And that is such a foreign concept to me, because I feel like I have to drag myself across coals to do something. And then when I do it, it's just, that's it. This does change. Again, on medication, I have noticed that I'm more inspired. I don't want to say motivated to do things, but I definitely feel more excited about the prospect of doing tasks. So, I mean, chemically, something's got to be different up there. Something's changing. I feel this to the extent of when I finish my bachelor's degree in exercise science, or when I finish my master's degree, and I got the certificate, I was just like, okay, and like there was no reward mechanism. Maybe that's why I love telling people, and I love like getting validation from my friends and family that what I'm doing is a good thing, or I love hearing praise from them. And I think it's because I don't have that internal process telling me or praising myself. Like that just doesn't exist for me. This is so foreign, and I can't help but feel how different my life would be if I felt good about myself, if I vacuumed, or felt good about myself if I did the dishes. What a world that would be to live in. What a world. Next one. So that one's pretty high up for me. Number 2, difficulty doing boring tasks. I struggle so much with this. If something is repetitive or if it's mundane, I really struggle to get myself motivated for this. I think ADHD brains love stimulation, they love novelty, and so when it comes to things like inputting your budget or vacuuming, or I don't know, just day-to-day things, filling out any kind of form, my brain it wanders off. I have no interest. And it's not like oh, it's boring, I'll do it later. It's like it's boring, and my body feels like a sense of dread at the thought of doing it. What is that? Someone explain that to me. I'm still gonna put it as 9 because living with somebody, Callum, it makes it easier to do these things because you have a partner to do them with. And like that body doubling that I've heard a lot of people talk about in regards to ADHD and managing your symptoms is like just having somebody in the room. It makes it easier to do things. Like if somebody is working, then it makes it easier for you to work in that same room. So I don't know if this one affects my life as much because I'm fortunate to have supportive people around me. But if I had to do all of life admin by myself, this would be much higher up for me. So you know what? I'm gonna put it as a 9. Yeah. Next. Forgetting to eat. This is a good one too. But again, I live with an athlete who has to eat a lot, otherwise all their muscles will go away. And so it's really important that Callum eats at certain points of the day, and it's important that he eats a lot. So I don't really have the opportunity to forget how to eat. When Callum goes out on like a Sunday, and if I'm here at the house just doing bits and pieces and I'm here, then I will eat way less. And it's a big symptom for me when I'm on my medication, because when you're on, or for me at least, when you're on ADHD medication, there's no appetite feeling. Like I do not feel hungry. And the unfortunate part is you have to eat, otherwise you get symptoms like shakiness, or you feel anxious, like your hands will just, for me, that's what happens if I don't have enough food when I'm on ADHD medication. Or you crash really hard when you're coming off that medication or when it's leaving your system. So even though it's really easy to forget to eat on the medication, you have to do it. So when I'm by myself at home, this is something that I struggle with. I think I've got pretty good routines around food and being like a strength and conditioning coach, being in the gym all the time, I know that like I have to have food after that to replenish my stores and to feel better, to help my muscles recover, to help my body recover. So I actually feel pretty okay with that as a symptom, even though it can be frustrating sometimes. So I'm gonna put it as a 10. Yeah. But that's only because I have these routines built up. I know for some people this will be like a really hard or really challenging symptom. I see all those memes that are like, how can people forget to eat? Like, I didn't have breakfast and now I'm screaming at someone. Like, I feel that. I forget to eat and then I get upset and sad and I'm like, well, what's going on with me? What? And I'm like, oh, I'm just hangry. I'm hungry. Something needs to change. Last few. Struggling with instructions. This is a big one for me. To be honest, this could have been like further down the list, but alas, we're stuck with where we are, aren't we? I'm gonna put it as a 4. Again, I know it's probably a bit of a thing for everybody, like all those memes around when people explain board games to you and you're just like, your brain clocks out. This is any kind of instruction. If somebody tells me to do something and there's more than one step involved, my brain switches off. It is just like, this information is not for you, you don't need it. Directions, horrible. If somebody describes something to me as west, first of all, brave of you to assume that I know which direction west is. The working memory or the short-term memory that is involved with remembering more than one step of something is just... So I really need people to repeat things to me. If they're written down, it's slightly better, but still it's a lot. Like, I have to read recipes about 10 times before I even try making something. I actually started writing them down myself because my brain will skip ahead or it will go back or it'll be like, oh, let's do that. It'll change the instructions. Something about instructions and ADHD, my ADHD at least, does not work. Does not compute together. I'm trying to think about the last time that this would have probably affected me. And to be honest, the things that I can think of are recipes or like filling out forms. If a form is telling me to mail something, or my visa application, if I have to write something down and then send it off, that's 2 steps. And even then I had to get like other people to check and confirm that I was understanding it properly, because I didn't really trust that my brain was gonna interpret it in the right way. I remember during hockey training, I used to find it really difficult to understand what would happen in a drill if somebody was saying something. Like, I have to be in the moment and doing it myself in order to understand. I like have to learn by doing. That's so interesting to me, actually. I never thought about that, but I did really struggle with that kind of thing. I haven't noticed any change on that being on the medication. I think I'm better able to focus on what people are saying. Like, my brain doesn't switch off as quickly, but in terms of understanding the verbal instructions, I think that that's something I still need to work on. Last 2, procrastination. I'm gonna put this as my number 1 symptom. This is the thing that I struggle with the most. Like I said, I think I have trouble initiating things, and because I have trouble initiating things and I know that it's going to require all my attention to stay focused on something, small tasks begin to seem bigger. Like, if I have to input things on my budget, I know that it's going to take a lot of effort for me to even get to the point of needing to input things on my budget. That already is a huge effort. And then because I know I have to give all my focus to stay concentrated on that task, it becomes a huge emotional drain. And then I'm like, well, I could just not do it, and then I don't do it. But on the other side of things, there'll be times when I really want to be productive and I really want to do things, but I will sit on the couch, and it's not like I don't want to do things. It's not like I'm lazy. And I think for a really long time I thought I was, but that's just not the case. Like, I'll lie on the couch and I'll be like, why aren't you moving? Just move. Just move, just do anything, but you just feel stuck. And that also could be because of that like lack of reward system. I know I'm not gonna feel good after doing something, so things get harder. I have trouble initiating, so even initiating the movement off the couch is hard. So I think that's the biggest thing that I struggle with in terms of my ADHD. This is better on medication. I will acknowledge that. There is more of an ability to switch on. The procrastination is definitely less, but it's still there, because it still, I feel, requires a great deal of emotional energy in order to do things. So that would be my number 1 symptom, I think, out of these symptoms at least, definitely. And then that puts racing thoughts as number 3. In terms of racing thoughts, again, speaking to Callum about this the other day because I saw a video on TikTok, I'm always on TikTok, where the neurotypical husband was like to the wife, who has ADHD, what are you thinking about? Like, what goes through your head just day to day? Is it just silence in there, or like, and she, the wife, was like, I have never ever had silence in my head, and I have racing thoughts. I have people talking, or me talking non-stop in my brain 100% of the time. I don't think my brain has ever been quiet in my life. And so hearing that husband, and also hearing that Callum has like quiet thoughts, I was like, what is that like, guys? What is that like? Although I do remember the first time I took ADHD medication, for me it was kind of like an instant effect. Within the first half hour, we were like going on a walk, and I stepped in dog shit because I was too busy looking at the clouds. Because it was the first time in my life that I wasn't looking or taking in all of the information around me, and I felt like I could just enjoy the scenery. I could just enjoy the sky and the clouds. It was like the first time ever that the racing thoughts or the spiraling kind of thoughts were quieter. That is a huge thing. That has changed being on medication. Like, my thoughts definitely race less. I feel like I spiral less. It kind of makes me feel like my emotions are more regulated. And that's kind of off topic, but yeah. That's definitely something I notice. But anyways, that is my final list of ADHD symptoms being ranked. That was a bit of a longer video, but thank you guys for sitting here with me. I'm hoping to get back into making videos, but again, you're gonna have to bear with me because I've been sick for the past couple of months, and thank you guys so much for being here. I would love to know if you would change the order of any of these, or what other symptoms can you think of that you really struggle with? Like, a couple of things off the top of my head are maybe like struggling in social situations, or like interrupting people, and more the social kind of side of things, but maybe we could talk about that in a separate video. Let me know what you think. Thank you guys for watching. Have an amazing day, an amazing week ahead, and I will see you very soon. Take care of yourselves, guys. Bye.